Welcome to Here's the Pitch here on the ST Weekly channel on YouTube, and it's brought to you by Masses Restaurants in St. Louis, 5 locations, stlmasses.com. Go there to that website to check out their menus and the directions to their restaurants if you're driving through St. Louis. And hello, I'm your YouTube friend, Brad. And this is my greatest hits show where I go back through some of the interviews I did before the big podcast and revisit these and talk about some of the things that happened around them. ST Weekly has been around for a long time. Here's the Pitch podcast has been around for 6 years now. But I've done a lot of interviews over my career, and sometimes I like to put them all together in one place. You can find these all on my channel, but here's a special show where I kind of give you some details about some of the things that happen in these interviews. So I ask you to subscribe. Please share these, like them, comment. I would love comments on things you'd like to see next, as I'm trying to explore and do more new things here, as I've been doing a series of interviews on a specific topic, but I'm going to branch out and do some other topics. So any other topics that you'd be interested in seeing or hearing from people from, let me know in the comments. I'm always all ears. I enjoy the comments immensely. I really do. But this is the greatest hit show as I take a look back at some of the interviews. And these are all posted here on this channel, as you've seen. But I'm going to put them all together and kind of give some stories to the background of them. And the first one I want to talk about is Ric Flair, the greatest wrestler of all time. He was spending a lot of time in St. Louis in the early days of wrestling. And we talk about that, but we also talk about what's up with him now and just some of the great moments in his career. This is just a few years ago with the great Ric Flair, but I enjoyed this interview, and I hope you do too. We'll be interviewing one guy. His name's Ric Flair. They said one thing. Woo!
All right. Woo!
Oh, where did that come from? When did you start doing that?
The first time I heard the record, Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis. So I got it truthfully.
Yeah?
Yeah, I probably started doing that in about 1968.
Now that's something you've done all
I
through your
was a
career.
junior in high school, yeah.
Why wrestle? Why pick this career? Obviously, it's set your family up, but a lot of these guys right now, there's tons of little independent leagues that they'll be there forever. Why did you pick this?
Why did I pick wrestling as a career? Well, I was playing football at the University of Minnesota, and just quite honestly, I became academically ineligible. Ended up sitting around for a year and trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I was at that time pretty close friends with a young man by the name of Greg Gagne, whose father was Vern Gagne, one of the great legends of our sport. And at that time, not only a promoter, but the reigning AWA World Heavyweight Champion. And through a process of time and getting to meet Vern and all that, Vern agreed to train me at the same time that he was training Chris Taylor, who was an Olympian, and Ken Patera, who also was an Olympian, and several other guys. We all started together in 1973 and spent a year with them, and then I moved to Charlotte in 1974 and never looked back.
And St. Louis is a town where, wrestling is one of the hot spots. You guys know about the Chase.
The hottest spot. Sure, I wrestled at the Chase.
Talk about those days, because a lot of people from St. Louis say the wrestling at the Chase days were the best.
It was phenomenal. It was just it was a live show that was produced on Sunday morning at the Chase, and it's hard to explain the evolution of wrestling, but some of the greatest stars to ever come along, from Dick the Bruiser to Pat O'Connor, Lou Thez. Every big name player came through here, and Bill Longston and Wilbur Snyder, Vern Gagne. When I first started, they always said that if you ever wanted to be a marquee guy and be considered a big player, you had to headline a card at the Kiel Auditorium, which meant you were wrestling at the Chase, because that's how the two worked together.
Talk about your work on the mic. Mm-hmm. Was that something that you knew that if I'd work on the mic, that people will get to know me a lot better? Because I think right now people know the sayings that you have. To be the best, you got to beat the best. The sayings that you say. Yeah,
quite honestly, I just came by that naturally. I've never worked on the mic at all. Sometimes when I'm driving on the road, I think about things I might say on TV, but I play off the crowd, and if the crowd is hot, it energizes me, and that's basically how I get where I'm going. When I got more involved again, it's just hard not to want to be the best. When I actually lost about 15 pounds body weight and really started training hard again and got real focused, and I'm as active right now and probably as intense right now and probably as motivated right now as I've ever been. So they all work hand in hand.
Talk about, we'll do these real quick. Favorite opponent and guy you hate to wrestle. Your favorite and the guy you hate.
Well, my favorite opponent right now would probably be gosh, there's 2 or 3 guys that I can really burn the joint down with. But Sting, usually when I wrestle Sting, I don't mind. I'm quite honest right now. I'm wrestling Hogan a fair amount and enjoy wrestling him. The best opponent I've ever had in my life would be a guy named Ricky Steamboat. But I had a lot of great matches with Harley Race, who's the Kansas City guy, and least favorite opponent, guy, there's about 14 guys who used to beat me on a regular basis, so I guess it's hard to pick out one.
It's 14. And I got to ask you, can you pick
13.
Talk about the 3 favorite lines. What are your 3 favorite lines that you've, and I don't know
To
if you...
be the man, baby, you got to beat the man, and right now I'm the man. I am a limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun that has kissed all the girls in St. Louis and made them cry. Unless you want to hear it. Girls, there isn't one of you that could be first, but any number of you could be next. I don't know. What else do you want to hear?
You could go on for hours and I could listen to this.
Actually,
Actually, the co-host of this show is even a bigger wrestling fan than me. He bought a tape that's 2 hours, not you wrestling, it's you doing interviews.
I've run into Mr. Flair. I call him Mr. Flair every once in a while here through town, and is just always just a great guy. In the 30 for 30 documentary obviously showed what kind of fun man he is. He's still living large, I would say. Let's move on to our next one. This is Nelly, a St. Louisan. Again, a little St. Louis flair on this greatest hits. Of course, we're from St. Louis, so why not talk about that? But Nelly is one of our own, and many people love talking to Nelly here in St. Louis. And he's still making big records, selling millions. Talked to him a few years back about his success as it was just kind of starting, and his relationship with sporting athletes in St. Louis. So here's a look at that one.
You got every jersey, I think, from every sports guy in this town. Which one is your favorite? You have the Al McInnes, you have the Marshall Faulk. Who's your favorite?
My favorite jersey will be my '82 World Series Ozzy. You know, the light blue one with the run. That's the one. I got at home. That's the one I love the best. But I mean, I'm just a big fan of the city, obviously, and I rep, man. I rep. If you're hot, I got you. You know what I'm saying?
It seems like the best sports city came along with a soundtrack. It was the Nelly soundtrack. We got that best sports city thing, and then the soundtrack was Country Grammar. How does that feel for you, obviously throwing out the first pitch today and being a part of a Cardinal baseball where they're listening to your CD after every game, after big wins?
Right. It's big, man. Because I love sports to the fullest, and I thought sports was going to be my key a long time ago. But things don't work out the way you plan them, so you make certain decisions that you're not always proud of, but it's up to you to work your way out. And that's what I did. I worked my way out through the music, and I'm still able to come back, and I still managed to get a baseball in my hand, at the end. And it's a big thing for me, to be able to walk through the clubhouse as far as the Cardinals, go out to the camp with the Rams, or be able to come to the football games and see those guys. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
When did you know this was going to blow up for you? Because I remember last year watching, we're on a local cable station here, and I remember watching, you'd always see these really bad produced rap videos, and then Nelly's would come on, and you had 1,000 people out in the street. And so when did you know this was going to take off?
Actually, Country Grammar was a song that was kind of like a year and a half, but way before we even got a deal. So it was something that we had been pumping underground for a long time, here in just nightclubs and on the streets, selling them to the kids as we meet them and stuff like that. So, we just got that buzz, man. You just got that buzz like, yo, this is it. So when we finally did get a deal, Country Grammar was the way we wanted to come out. And St. Louis is definitely the city we wanted to represent it, because St. Louis is a funny place when it comes to music. Either they like you or they don't, So once we knew we had their support, we figured, well, if we can get the support of our own hometown, we can pretty much get the support everywhere else. And they gave us that whole confidence. And when we got out there, man, we just pushed it. I'm constantly working, constantly on the road. I just got in this morning, but I wasn't missing this, So to be here, and it's a big thing for me.
For some of the starving artists out there who want a record deal, what would your number one advice be?
Keep going. Just keep going, because we've been trying this and doing this since '93, and it didn't work for us till like '99, 2000, so you got to keep pushing, and does nothing work overnight. And if you give up, then that determines whether you're going to make it or not. That's the point.
was the biggest moment so far in this whole rise? I know the Super Bowl had to be great for you. If you can talk about that a little bit.
I think that was it. I think it would have been better and the cream of the crop if the Rams had been there, but that's okay, but I think that was really it. What's bigger? I got to walk out on that field, man, and I got to look up at the state, and it was like it went by so fast. Rehearsals had been long, 2-3 days, and I was just enjoying it, out there going through the Super Bowl camps and all the little tryout things they had, the Super Bowl, and it was just big, man. It was just big. It's the biggest. What bigger telecast could you get at one time?
For all the music fans out there, what's your next CD coming out? Are you working on it? When can we hear something new?
Well, we got the St. Lunatics album due out June 5th. And that's the group I'm in. And now we got another Nelly solo project, should be out by November, right before Christmas. So write down your Christmas list so you can start putting down Nelly CDs.
Always fun to catch up with Nelly and one of St. Louis's biggest stars. The next interview I want to play for you is when I started interviewing comedians. I realized how much I enjoy talking to comedians and getting their take on things. And then this comedian did the greatest Harry Caray impersonation of all time. He did Harry Caray better than Harry Caray did. And that's what he was known for, and he still does it. It's John Caponera, a comedian who is coming through town. And again, I love talking to comedians who come through here. You'll see on my channel here, Tom Green and Jim Florentine, Kevin Farley. A lot of comedians have been on this podcast. But this, again, was pre-podcast. This is when I was doing STWEEKLY, which was formerly Sports Talk Weekly, but that's why this channel is called that. Here's my visit with John Caponera.
Now, being from Chicago, you must be a big sports fan. I know everybody out there is.
I'm a real big sports fan. I'm actually amazed by the records in sports,
That's amazing.
Some of them are so phenomenal, you have to question the credibility. In fact, Will Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game one time. 100 points. I mean, who's guarding this guy? Gary Coleman? Ricky Rooney was 100 points. Can you imagine the rest of his teammates? Hey, Wilt, I'm open. You ever think about passing the ball once in a while? Cy Young won 511 games pitching. You know how hard this is to do? You have to average 25 wins a year, 20 years in a row. It's impossible. I mean, what were they counting as a win back then? He goes to a carnival, knocks over a couple bottles. That's a win, Si. Count it. It's in the record book. It had to be recorded on the honor system. Did you pitch last week, Si? Yeah, I won 10 games. I pitched a couple doubleheaders. It's in the record book. No problem.
It's the award named after him.
There you go.
He does that, too.
Roberto Duran, he's won over 95 professional fights. I mean, that's amazing. And it is until you see who he fought. It was like Louis Duran, Hector Duran, Victor Duran. The guy beat up his whole family. Grandma Duran, Duran, he beat up the whole band. There's 5 wins right there. Cumberland College lost to Georgia Tech in football one time, 222-0. The hell was going on that day? Like, you imagine a losing coach at halftime? All right, we're not out of it yet. It's only 110-0. Couple 2, 3, 16 more touchdowns. We're back in it. We got to get back to fundamentals. Tommy, you got to stop punting on first down. You got 4 downs to work with. Billy, when you center the ball, you hike it backwards. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Now, we're still ahead with the bookies. They're giving us 200. If we could just hold them.
Probably what Rich Brooks says now these days here in St. Louis, the Rams. That's some good stuff, but we know you do the Harry Caray. It's amazing. You've mastered this, perfected it. When did this start?
It started when I was a sophomore in high school. Harry Caray used to do the White Sox after he left the Cardinals. And I was like in high school at the time, and I used to live at the park because I only lived 6 blocks from Comiskey. So I became a big Harry Caray fan when I first started doing him in the nightclubs. He was just a local celebrity in Chicago. Now with WGN, he's all over the place. But what amazes me about Harry Caray is that the game is incidental to the story he's telling.
Steve, I was on Rush Street last night getting totally inebriated. I closed the one bar when I crossed the street at a taco. That greasy spoon. Oh, there's a triple play. Anyway, I had too many jalapeno peppers. I got indigestion, That's a fastball off Sandberg's head. Both benches empty. So I'm looking for the Pepto-Bismol. He's on a stretcher. I think he's dead. Finally, I get a hold of some kale pectate.
He's more concerned what celebrity showed up.
Hey, the Pope is here today. the group of 30 Cardinals. I guess it's Big Hat Day here in Wrigley. You know, a couple kids were poking the Pope in the back of the head. I guess they couldn't see the game with his big hat and all, and he just reeled around to give the one kid an elbow to the forehead, and I don't blame the guy. I mean, here's a guy. There's a throw to first. Here's a guy who's worked his whole life to get to where he is. They give him a hat, let him wear the hat. Hey, Snoop Doggy Dogg is in the house. You know, Steve, Snoop Doggy Dogg backwards is Pooch Gotti God. Hey, the Pope just caught a foul ball in his hat. Look at that, he's got a big snow cone. He doesn't even realize it. Oh, you just can't beat fun at the old ballpark. So long, everybody.
Here's a guy. He starts off with here's a guy. That's where it starts, though.
That's how, if you want to learn how to do Harry Caray, you start off with here's a guy, and you end with I just
Can't figure it out. Here's a guy, Dave Concepcion, who grew up in the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, one of those islands where the sun shines 365 days a year, and he misses a pop-up in the sun. I just can't figure it out.
Love that Harry Caray impersonation. I still do that impersonation probably more than a Harry Caray impersonation. I think a lot of people do like the Will Ferrell impersonation of Harry Caray, but enjoyed that and hope you're enjoying this as greatest hits moments. Some of the earlier interviews I did before the podcast started, I'm calling Here's the Pitch podcast greatest hits on ST Weekly. And the last one I want to show you is Bob Ueker. Bob Ueker is still doing his thing in Milwaukee and is a big name because he was on The Tonight Show. He was on a sitcom. Johnny Carson loved him. It's just one of the funniest guys in all of the land. And he's a baseball announcer. He played baseball. And we run through his whole career here. I really enjoy this chat with Bob that we did a few years back. So here it is.
Let's talk about your career. I know you've got a few hits in your career. I know you've made fun of it, but the 64 World Series, you were a part of it. I know McCarver got some starting time there, and you kind of helped him out on the bench.
Well, it was, I guess it got to the point where we wanted to win, you know. We won the pennant in 64 in the World's Championship with Timmy, and the next year we finished sixth with the exact same team, only I played a lot more. I played a lot more in 65, which took us from first to sixth, so I was proud of that.
You don't see many 65 Cardinals tributes back then. You hear about the 64, but not the 65 Cardinals.
Well, you know, we had I've been here for a couple of Cardinal reunions. We did a 20 and I think we did a 10 and a 20-year reunion. I'm looking for a 40-year job. I hope we're all around yet for a 40-year reunion, but I really had a lot of fun playing here. I did a show last night with Mike Shannon and Bob Gibson, excuse me, following the game, and we sat there and laughed for an hour about the things that happened during those two seasons that I was here with the Cardinals. And you know, there's a lot of guys that play baseball for a lot of years and are big time and big name players who have never been to a World Series. And you know, I feel bad for guys like that have never had the opportunity to experience that. The guy that comes to mind for me all the time is Ernie Banks. He was such a great player and a Hall of Famer and never experienced a World Series. There's a lot more, but that to me was one of the highlights of my career, the day that the Braves informed me during the spring of 1964 that I was going to be traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, and we went on to win that year, and you know, everything else is history. But just to be able to wear that ring and to say that you were a part of the championship season here is something that a lot of players can't do.
Is that the ring right there? Is that the one?
This is a light beer ring.
No, we can't talk about that. We're in St. Louis. That's Miller. We don't talk Miller.
We're drinking 100 cases a day. No, this is a championship ring. Yeah, they're a lot bigger now, but yeah, that's a World Series ring, and mine's adjustable because there were, you know, different players coming in to wear it all the time. So, but no, we had a good time here. We really did. I was talking to Red Shandies before the game today. Johnny Keane was the manager in '64, and then Red took over the next year, and it was great here. I mean, just even coming back here to play in this ballpark after I got traded was nifty. I look at this park now, it's going to be kind of sad to see this place go. I know there's a new ballpark in the making now, but when you look around here and see the way they've renovated this place and the things they've done, this to me is baseball here, man. I love this place. I really do.
For a guy who hit like 212, 215, no offense.
No. You're a little high there.
They call you Mr. Baseball, though. That's pretty good that for a guy who didn't do what McGwire's done or what Babe Ruth has done, you're Mr. Baseball. I think that's kind of an accomplishment.
Well, I could have done those things, but I always look down the road, you know. I mean, anybody can go out and hit 300. You try and hit 200 and hang around the big leagues for 5 years, that is really hard. People say, well, it's easy to strike out. That's not true. Big league pitchers, sooner or later, somebody's going to hit your bat. So to have the ability to swing and lift or lower to avoid the baseball when it comes through the hitting zone, those are things that you learn during the off season. I never practiced during spring training because I didn't want to tip my hand. And I mean, if I had good years, year after year after year, you know what they do? You hit 310 one year, the next year they want you to hit 320. You hit 320, they want you to hit 330. So I always tried to hang around maybe 190, 200, maybe 3 or 4 RBIs a year, just so they're not going to put pressure on you the following year. Try to get them in September where you got something to deal with for the coming year. You didn't have multi-year deals in. I remember Bing Devine sitting right behind us here. I think my biggest year salary-wise here was St. Louis. I think I made $13,000, and 7 of that came from selling other players' equipment. So, you know, I mean, if you had a glove, if you wanted a glove or something, I'd take somebody's glove and I'd sell it. I didn't have a problem with that.
You and Johnny Carson are friends. Talk just about all those appearances because, as we said, again, another 100 hitter. We'll say 100. Let's go with that because you know they call it the Mendoza line, but you're way under that, obviously. But the appearances on Johnny Carson, did you become good friends with him, and how's that relationship going?
I did shows. I don't know. I think the first show I did like in 1969 was the first one, and all the way through his final show. And I would do 4 or 5 shows a year. I think I did something like 100 shows. And, yeah, we got to be really good friends. And I don't see Johnny anymore. I see Doc Severinsen from time to time and Ed McMahon. But, I never took that stuff serious. I wasn't serious about show business and any of that other stuff. Baseball, everything I do revolves around baseball. But I had some great times on The Tonight Show. I mean, the first show I ever did with him in New York, he didn't think I played ball. He asked Ed McMahon after the game, I'm not going to tell you what he said, so-and-so really played baseball. And he never thought I played. He really didn't. But I had a great time there all the time.
You're going to get to the radio booth, but I guess the biggest accomplishment was Mr. Belvedere, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I still see those people from the series. It ran for 6 years, which is a pretty good run for a sitcom. And the girl who played the daughter just had her second child. The oldest guy, the guy who played the oldest son, is a producer and director in Hollywood. The younger guy, Bryce Beckham, is I believe he's a senior now at USC. And Christopher Hewitt, who played Mr. Belvedere, whatever he's doing, he's eating. I know that. I don't know what he's doing, but I know he's eating. And the lady that played my wife, Eileen Graff, is still working and singing in L.A. They're all doing very good, absolutely.
So as a child actor, you were a good TV dad. Let's just say that, right? You've groomed those children very well.
You know, it's really funny how you live with those kids for that amount of time, and you really do become like a father. I mean, they do come to you with problems, and I did what I did with my kids: slap them, tell them to get the hell away. You know. No, they were
That sounds like my dad.
No, they were great kids. I love them to death, and none of them are in show business anymore. I mean, I guess they had enough of it then, and except for Rob, the oldest guy, who won an award a couple of years ago. He does a lot of stuff with the Navy flying team, and he's traveled the world with them, done great documentaries, and they're all doing very, very well. It was a lot of fun.
We thank you very much, but before we go, I got to have a little Harry Doyle. I mean, I love the Harry Doyle. You made major. Did you ad-lib a lot of that in the last couple ones, or was that all scripted? It seemed like it was all ad-libbed from the 2 and 3 at least.
No, it was all ad-libbed. They gave me an outline and said, "Be this guy," you know, and I could do whatever I wanted. It adds a little more work because you're constantly doing ad-lib lines, and they say, "Do more like that. Do another one like that. More stuff like that." You know, some of the stuff is scripted, but when writers write things, they get a lot of money to do it. So if you ask, instead of saying, "I'm not going to read this," could I try this, or can we do this? Everybody's for it, and I think it works better that way. And yeah, we had a lot of fun making the films. I mean, the third one stunk, man. That thing was on the third one was Back to the Miners, I think. That thing was on an airplane the next day after we finished it. It was terrible. But first two were a lot of fun. Just a bit outside.
Big thanks to Bob Ueker, and a big thanks to all these folks that have joined me. I'll put a few more of these together as I sprinkle them in with newer podcasts as we're going in kind of a newer direction, but I always ask to subscribe and like and comment and share these with your friends. But these were interviews that I did right before I started doing a podcast. It was a video interview show called Sports Talk Weekly, hence the name of the channel, ST Weekly. But now the podcast is called Here's the Pitch on ST Weekly. So thank you for watching. Thanks to Masses, my sponsor. STLmasses.com is their website. Again, you can go there, check out those menus, find the directions to the beautiful restaurants as they're all opened up and serving people now. We'll hopefully see them soon and maybe do a show from there. You never know. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.